Hello, welcome to St Michael's Hill. You joined me today for the June update on the layout. I'll be honest, I'm stood in the garage right now. I've got the door open a little bit, so there might be a little bit of noise, but frankly with the heat we've had recently, it's already the most pleasant place to be in the house. Certainly quite cool, but opening a door a little bit has really brought in an extra kind of breeze, so it's actually very, very pleasant. Currently it's about 31 outside, and in here it's no more than 22 and 23, so very, very pleasant. Sorry if that makes the people who are kind of currently dealing with horrendous temperatures in their lofts feel a little bit jealous. I'm sure there are other advantages, I suppose, to having a loft layout rather than a garage one, but the temperature is certainly a pro for the garage. This month I've been pretty much exclusively working on one thing, which I will show you in a minute. There's a little bit of new stock, something else that's quite nice to show you that I received for my birthday, and other than that I think it's going to be a fairly short update, so hopefully 10 or 15 minutes and we'll bash through everything. I know I said that there probably would be quite a lot of videos going up this month, but frankly I've been waiting on a few supplies that haven't arrived, and luckily now are here, so hopefully I can make a start on a few other projects. But I've just been enjoying doing what I've been doing this month, so once you get to see that, hopefully you can appreciate why it's taken quite so long to do it all. But yeah, without any further ado, I'll get showing you what I've been working on this month. So I mentioned that I've pretty much only been working on one thing this month, and that is getting the Fiddle Yard laid. Very pleased to say that that's now completely finished, and as you can see, it's starting to be filled up. These are the trains that I will probably be running on the layout. There are a fair few that need to be extended, there are a fair few extra little bits that need to be picked up for them, but I'm trying to kind of keep my purchases to kind of a logic that says that if it fits within my period and one of these trains, then I will potentially purchase it, and if it doesn't, I'm going to try and avoid it. And there's certainly a lot of models that are coming out that I would love to have part of the fleet. Acura Scale have got their 92 and the Deltic, and even their new 37s, they all look stunning, but there's just no real place for them on here, so I'm using that as a way to save my wallet and go with what I've got. So I'm going to kind of talk to you a little bit about the Fiddle Yard and how it's been laid out. There are, as with all Fiddle Yards, compromises that have needed to be made, but I'm quite pleased with what I've got and the length of trains that I'll be able to run. As you can see, the kind of longest lanes are at the back. I've got a full HST, and there'll be room to have a couple of trains that are longer. The exception to that general rule is that actually the first line here that goes all the way around the outside is actually the longest lane, and we'll have a train in it that's actually all on pre-order, so I'll keep what that is a little bit quiet, but hopefully come the end of the year that will be complete with a whole new train. So the end here, as you can see, is kind of looks like it falls off the edge of a cliff. Obviously that's going to be where the lift out section is, and most of that has been complete, just using the copper clad technique to kind of hold everything in place, but I'm quite pleased with how that's all gone on. It just needs a couple of straight sections to connect up to the straight sections on the end here, but that won't take long, and probably be my next job, to be honest, and I can start to work on the scenic section throughout. Kind of obviously opens up into various lines. Most of them, in fact nearly all of them, apart from where you see the class 150, are through roads, so pretty much anything can run from any of the lines through pretty much all of these. There's a couple of lines, the two at the back can only be accessed from one of the tracks, but everything else can be accessed from either of the tracks that are going to be on the scenic section. Like I said, the long sections, long sidings are generally at the back. The first three here that come from the three-way point, the shortest three, they're going to have as you can see, the fuel delivery train. There'll be a steel kind of working that's going to be run by the 09. A regional railways 4-car train that will probably be made up of Mark IIs rather than these 2 Mark 1s, but they'll be purchased at a later date. An engineer's train that probably will be made up of dogfish and sea cows. Fairly short one. I will throw a shark wagon in there as well at some point. The track that goes between the 2 3-way points is certainly a longer siding. Currently it's got the class 47 with the cross-country rake. That will be extended by another 2 coaches and will fill most of that siding. It's quite a tight curve on the edge. It's actually the tightest one, but it's still larger than a second radius, so there's no problem with any stock going around it, hopefully. And with iTrain I'll limit the speed around there, so if a train does go around there, it'll be going around fairly slowly. Beyond that, the next 3-way point has 3 slightly longer sidings at the moment. There's the class 47 with some mail stock. There's certainly enough room behind that for another fairly small train, or I can extend the mail rake or something else. There's also an enterprise train, very common in the kind of Newport area around the time I'm modelling, and it gives me license to run kind of odd bits and pieces. And beyond that is a class 60 on some tanks. This is one of the trains that probably will need to be extended. I'm not entirely sure how that will work. I've got some other TEAs on pre-order, so they will probably be used to kind of make a slightly longer train. I might even swap a few things around to kind of make it one of the longer trains on the layout. Beyond that, obviously you can see there's a full HST. I've got it in a kind of mixed Merlin and Intercity Swallow, which would be very typical of that time period. Also, I have, as many of you know, the kind of Merlin power cars and some more of the Mark IIIs in Swallow livery, so hopefully I'll be able to kind of mix and match a little bit. Beyond that is another staple for kind of South Wales, and that'll be the merry-go-round pulled by a class 56. This is certainly a train that needs to be made a lot longer. Currently there's only 10 of the HAA hoppers, but that will be extended in due course. And the back line has the class 47 pulling an intermodal set, which I will go into a little bit more detail around in just a second. The final part of the Fiddle Yard, although slightly separate, are these 2 sidings that are going to be under the town scene. Despite their current appearance, they're actually going to be primarily used for locos going in and out of the depot. Be a place just to store them. However, obviously it will be accessible from the branch line station, so it's not uncommon that I could use this area to store some DMUs that are on a local stopping service. But like I said, primarily it will be locos going in and out of the depot. That obviously you see should be able to fit kind of 4 or 5 on the sidings here, and they'll exit through the point work and out onto the scenic section of the layout. At the moment, the Fiddle Yard has all been laid, all the dropper wires have been attached, but nothing has been wired up yet. That's for 2 reasons. Firstly, I was just trying to get everything done whilst getting all the wiring done, but also, as this layout is going to be automated and controlled by block control, it's slightly more complicated than just putting each of the droppers onto a bus wire, but I will get to that on the next video. Once the drop down section has been completed, this will be the next task, is to start wiring this stuff up. So hopefully in next month's video you may or may not see some stock running around the Fiddle Yard. Depends if I decide to try and get that up and running first, or start to lay the track on the scenic section. There have been some new additions at the fleet during June. Beginning of the month was my birthday. I was lucky enough to get some vouchers and a few pieces of stock. So I'll talk to you about a few of those in a minute, but the first one I want to talk to you about is the FGA and FFA wagons from Bachmann, which you can see here. Currently I've got 4 2 FGAs that come in a twin pack and 2 FFAs that are the inner wagons. I will look to get another FFA at some point. These usually ran, or at least originally ran, in groups of 5 with 2 outers and 3 inners. However, this did change towards the end of their life. Lots of wagons were taken out of service, and it wasn't uncommon to see them running around in sets of 4 like this, but I probably will look to get an additional one. This will make up part of the intermodal train that I will also include KFAs and also KTA pocket wagons, and will be hauled on the layout by a Bachmann class 47 in rail freight distribution livery. The wagons, having been a fairly new release, have got all the detail you would expect. They're a cast metal chassis, so they have the weight, and you can see inside there's some real level of detail with the pipework. The one thing that I'm not massively keen on, and it is only kind of obvious when the wagons haven't got the loads on, is the spring for the coupling is quite obvious, but apart from that, that's a very minor point. The rest of the wagons are very, very beautiful, so very, very pleased to have that as part of the fleet, and look forward to them being part of the intermodal train. One of the other things that I also got this month was another Mark II intercity carriage that is going to make up the cross-country service. This will eventually be a 7-car set. Currently I've got 5 that run along here. I'll be hauled by a class 47 of some description. Very, very nice models, although you know that they have their deficiencies compared to the Bachmann one, but it's probably about half the price. I kind of felt this was a compromise I'm happy to make. I did a review when I originally got these, so if you'd like to see that, I'll leave it in the I description now, but certainly a very nice wagon. The final new addition for the month is the OTA timber wagon. This is going to be used as part of my enterprise train. You can see already taking shape with some silver bullets and TTA tanker and a few other things, some cargo wagons on the end, so that's going to be part of that. Certainly it wasn't uncommon for this flow to be, or a wagon like this to be on a enterprise flow at the in the period that I model, so very much at home. Obviously needs a lot of work to get it weathered up and looking probably the way it would have been, but very, very nice wagon from Hornby. Another thing that I received for my birthday from my fiance was something that's outside of the layout, but it is certainly for the layout. This is the hall outside of the garage, and as you can see, she very kindly got me a sign made up for the layout. So really, really nice kind of touch, very thoughtful, and it obviously gives the room a nice kind of presence. I guess everyone now knows what's inside, and yeah, very, very happy to have that as the, I guess, signpost to the layout. So that's pretty much it for today on St Michael's Hill. I did tell you it was going to be a fairly short one, so hopefully you can appreciate that whilst it's been a lot of work, it's not massively interesting. I didn't want to put you all through a video on how to lay some track, especially when I literally just used the technique of whacking a load of pins into a cork bed. So I'll keep it nice and brief, but hopefully you've enjoyed that, and in the next month hopefully I'll make a bit more progress on here, and there'll be a few other smaller projects that hopefully I'll be completing and getting videos out. Certainly the dogfish build, finally, after probably 2 or 3 months now, we'll be in a position where I'll be able to show you a video on that. But in the meantime, thank you very much for joining me, and I will see you again soon on St Michael's Hill. Thanks, bye bye.